Well, I'm a pretty recent teacher at the school. I started in September, and well, the first impression in the first day that I was invited by George Starobinsky for lunch, and then he showed me around in the school, which was a really, really nice start, and it sort of, I think, indicates the general atmosphere of the Hochschule, which is extremely welcoming and extremely open, open for new people, open for me. It just started, and I'm still getting used to the many good circumstances and possibility and facilities that the school have. And it will take me, I think, much more time than just this year to really explore. Well, since I don't live here, when I'm here in Basel, it's usually very much concentrated on the teaching. But of course, some mornings or some evenings happen to be free, so I try to walk as much as possible. I usually stay with friends here, and I go home and back and forth, usually walking, and also try to explore new routes to home. So sometimes among the rivers, sometimes just across the old city. So far, I've been enjoying the city very much. I've been enjoying the actually, you have very, very little cars in the city, which is very nice. It's very human friendly. It's very walking friendly. Of course, the trams is something that you have to watch always. That's also one thing. But I love it here. It's really, really beautiful. So when I teach, it's usually a common work with the students. I don't think that I'm telling the truth, because who knows the truth. I think it's always a search. It's always a search. It's sometimes, well, I am like an external ear of the student that I help him or I help her to listen to what she or what he's doing, and help to get closer to their wishes or the ideas in the music. So you really have to filter your thoughts through the others, I think. And of course, one has a certain thoughts on what's valuable in the music and what's less valuable. So of course I try to spread this view, not without really telling certain results or certain ways how to really how things works, because you never know. It's just as I said, it's more like a common listening, and then and not so realizable way to go together towards let's say truth in music. I do play, so yes, that's my let's say primary occupation. Let's say that I'm a concert pianist, and that was the other thing I didn't mention about the school, that it's fascinating how flexible they are in the school, and how much they trust you, so you can do your own schedule here. And that's something that really helps me. Years ago there was a Hungarian violinist who was the leader of the Musik-Akademie, and he said that it's not good if those people teach that have time to teach. So it's basically almost everybody is would like to perform in a way. Of course, somebody will become a teacher, somebody will become more like a concert pianist, a concert performer, but even teachers, that is the primary job as a teacher, they would like to perform, so they would like to play music for other people. And I think if you want to be really believable what you say and what you try to say to your teachers, to your students, then you should be a performer yourself. So I try to find a nice balance between performing and teaching. Mm-hmm. So it was years ago when I discovered Janáček's music through his operas and the piano music as well, and it happened pretty much in the same time. And unfortunately, he has rather few pieces written for piano solo. Of course, he has the chamber music, and as well as this, for example, this Capriccio I'm going to perform. But he has another rather, I can call it funny piece, which is the concertino. So Janáček is a very, very original composer, a rather unique person in the first half of the century. He comes from the Romantic era very much. So he was born in the mid 800s. So he was the contemporary of Dvorak. He was contemporary of the late Romantic composers, and he started his compositional style as a truly pure Romantic composer. And he was rather not old, but over 50 when he found his own voice through his operas. The Janufa is a very famous opera. That was the first music that we can call truly Janáčekian music. So that what hit me in the first time, that how can be a composer so original and since somehow very, very well fit in the first half of the century when all these different styles were happening at the same time, the neos, the serial music, then still together with Richard Strauss, the late Romantic pieces, and even in this rather chaotic musical scene, he could be one of the unique personalities of the music scene. That's really. And somehow being a Central Eastern European composer and growing up with Bartók's and Kodály's music through also the folk music of that territory where I grew up, somehow I found Janáček's music familiar and very well placeable in this even geographically, so very close to my heart, I have to say. I was actually asked to play this piece with the wind ensemble, and I was very happy to accept this invitation because I've done this piece years ago, which was also a request from an ensemble, but by the time I had been flirting with this piece because it's just somehow structurally, instrumental-wise, and musically demonstrate why Janáček is Janáček, let's say. So the Capriccio is written for a very, very unusual group of instruments, and left hand, which comes from another commission, of course, a pianist that era that lost the ability of his right hand. And first Janáček refused this because he was not very interested in this kind of things, but then somehow two ideas met, I think, in his head, and he was very, very obsessed with brass instruments that you can hear in the other orchestral pieces that he uses in a very rich way, the brass instruments. And this particular piece has only wind instruments with the piano, the flute, which is the only wooden instrument, and then wooden wind instrument, and the others are all brasses, 3 trombones, 2 trumpets, and a tenor tuba, which is rather sounds like a sort of a military band. And that combination with the piano left hand, the whole thing has this rather a very charming clumsiness, I would say. But Janáček solves this problem, which is not a problem for him because it's an advantage in the best way possible. So somehow, both structurally, instrumental-wise, and musically, I think this is just the best demonstration of what Janáček was representing in the theater. I think as a listener, I would definitely go for the strange things in this piece, which will be also already visually very obvious that my right hand will not be used, and with this rather unusual setting around me with the brass instruments. So all the contrasts that a piano and those instruments can create, but with the contrast at the same time, look for, I would say, there is always a very personal message in Janáček's piece. It's a very, I would call it a very human-orientated or human-focused aspect of his music, which is very hard to put in words, but I think I could describe it as someone who doesn't want to hide his weaknesses and human aspects. So it will be, and it will cause a lot of surprises as well for the audience. So I would suggest to look for the strange and human gestures in this music.